Hey YouTube, so it's been a couple of days that I've been totally thrown off my game. The kids have been doing karate performances down at the fair, and I've spent the last 3 days at the fair, like 5, 6, 7 hours a day at the fair. It's been pretty intense. I spent a lot of time there. It's kind of really taking me off my game here at the farm. So anyway, today's kind of a downtime day, just kind of regrouping in a sense, but there's so many things going on out here. I just figured I'd kind of do a little update on a few things and kind of lay out some plans for the next week or so. My tomatoes are starting to really boom here. They're everywhere. They're showing all of the tomato varieties are showing pretty heavy. Those are black strawberries right there. My atomic grapes I got a lot of atomic grapes showing, and my some right here. There's a lot of atomic grapes showing. I think another week, 2 weeks max, I'm gonna start filling up buckets full of tomatoes. And we've got the ground cherries. They are starting to do really well too. Not a whole bunch of production quite yet, but I'm starting to see they're getting ready. This is what they look like. They just kind of fall right off the vine, and this is what they start out looking like, and then inside the covering, that's what they are. They're really sweet, they're really good. Zucchinis are looking good. I've got 3 of them out here. I've got a couple more inside the greenhouse that I just sprouted from seed about a week ago. So I want to get those planted out here just to kind of keep a rotation of zucchini going. Watermelons starting to show some good growth. I've got a lot of weeds starting to show up, and Poppy got his tractor back, but he's taking a little trip. He's not going to be around for a week. But before he left, he dumped me, this is 2 buckets full of wood chips. So I was looking online, and we came to the conclusion that his bucket on his backhoe, the front loader, is 1.4 cubic yards. And we're estimating that we got about 350 yards of wood chips. So with the 2 loads that he got, this is, like roughly 2.8 yard, probably 2.5 yards, roughly. So that's I feel like that will easily cover one of these beds, just the walkway. So I'm gonna focus on, at least I wanna take it easy with this, but I wanna get at least a walkway covered and just kind of play with that and see how I like it. I don't wanna go crazy all at once on this. And I know it doesn't look like much on the surface, but a little while back, Poppy had lifted one of these piles up and moved it, just kind of get it out of the way for a little bit. And basically he turned it over with the tractor, and it was like really dark and rich inside. So I mean, the surface doesn't show much, but I know inside this is some really good looking soil in here. So I want to get something going with that, because between that and the horse manure, because this pile over here, this was 6 yards of compost that I had delivered, and I'm pretty much down to the last little bits of it. And I want to save that for potting plants and doing nursery stuff inside the greenhouse. So I really need to get something going between the horse manure, goat manure, and getting this up and running, because I'm running out of soil and I got to put stuff in the garden here. I've got this bed here that I pulled garlic from, and I've still got 150 or so tomato plants that I need to do something with. So I'm thinking I'm going to set up some trellising here, kind of do like the string method with tomatoes, because I got to do something, and I'm kind of running out of space in the garden. I'm really feeling like I'm outgrowing the size of the garden this year. So I got to do something with those plants, because they're beyond the point where I can sell them anymore. They got to go in the ground. So one of the days that I went to the fair, I also went and did the farmer's market in the morning. That was a pretty intense day. So farmer's market in the morning, and then get home, unload stuff, straight to the fair for a performance. That was a pretty intense day. But the thing about that farmer's market that day was I didn't really sell a whole lot, but I had very few plants that I sold, but for maximum profit. And the reason being was because I actually sold 2 of these aloe veras, 25 bucks a piece. And that was a nice score. I got so many people that walking by, and they just keep looking at the aloe vera. It's a big attention getter. It kind of surprises me, honestly, but double down on what works, right? I don't want to sell everything, because I mean I got a couple of these, but the mama plant, we need to take the mama plant out, because it's got some babies, so we can get a few more of those. But my aloe vera, basically my #1 seller at the farmer's market right now. So that was nice to do that. But my tomatoes, I sold a couple of atomic grapes and a couple of yellow pears those are my consistent turnovers. They are the ones that keep selling. Even though it's getting late, I still am selling a couple of those. But there is no way that I'm going to sell all of this. So this has got to get in the ground somewhere. And I'm running out of space in the garden. The window is closing. Here in the aquaponics system, these are the cuttings that I threw in the aquaponics system, and they've rooted. So I got to get those going in some hydroponics just so I can play around with that and educate myself on it. I got a ground cherry. I don't even know how that one ended up in here. These are tomatillos that volunteers that I yanked and then threw in here, and they're rooting pretty well. Let's see. All that, these started out as just cuttings, and they're showing a lot of roots. So I got to do something with those. The cucumber plant that I planted in the aquaponics system, that's doing really good. These tomatoes that I put in there, I'm gonna trellis them on these guys, and they were looking pretty bad there for a few days, but I think they're turning around at this point. Now we come over here and we've got the Taiwan yardlong and the Chinese red noodle beans. I made a slight adjustment to these late at night last night. The only thing that I did to them that I adjusted was I changed the way this netting is going. I pushed the netting out just a hair so that they could reach down to the water just the slightest little bit better. So it doesn't look the greatest, but they are starting to show new roots. So it's still in the adjustment phase, but I got hope. I think these are gonna turn out really well once they kind of just get themselves established. Hi, Stevie Nicks. We're super close right now. I think we're ready to give you a kitty door. That's something we're gonna have to work on here during the next couple of days. And then we come out here to the medicinal herb garden, and this is another reason why I got to really focus on getting something going with compost, with horse manure, with soil. I got to get something happening, because it's another situation where it's like I got to put myself under pressure in order to make things happen. And we have all these plants out at the greenhouse, on the outside of the greenhouse, and then we moved them over here. We weren't ready for it, but it's like it's do or die. We got to move this stuff. We got to keep it going, or progress isn't going to happen. So we got to get something so that we can get these things planted and out of their pots. All right, guys, this is me just kind of thinking out loud on a lot of things that we need to like buckle down on and get done here over the next couple of days. So it never ends. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys tomorrow.